All right, guys, here we go. Starting our new unit. We're doing absolute value functions and equations right now. So the basic idea behind absolute value, it's just not changed the sign. It means the distance from the center is the basic definition. So when you set up your equation, you have your absolute value bars, and you have the range, or the distance from the center. Now, that's where your different signs come in. You can have a range to the left, and you can have a range to the right. So this is where the two different signs come up, a negative and a positive sign. So I'll step back. This is example 2 on page 28 if you want to stop and record, or you can copy down the basic information that I pulled out from here. So if we're dealing with the idea of absolute value equations, we have this idea here. We have a center, which is the tennis racket, which is 100 square inches, and then it's plus or minus 20 square inches. So if we really look at that and we put it on a number line, we have 100 is the center, and then we have minus 20 this way, which is 80, and we have positive 20 this way, which is 120. So technically looking at this, if my center is 100 and I go minus 20 that way and positive 20 this way, then my answer for my maximum and minimum is 80 and 120. So that's what you see visually. But let's pull this thing together as an equation based on this. X minus the center, absolute value equals the range. So this is what we're doing. We're going to write an equation, not and equation. We're going to write an equation. So I'm looking for X, this one and this one, which when we're done, we should get 100. We should get 80 and 120. We're going to subtract the center, and we're going to set it equal to the range, the distance on either side, which is equal to 20. So what does that mean? That means that from 100, I have a distance to the left 80, so that's X minus 100 equals negative 20. There's my distance to the left. And I also have a distance, X minus 100, to the right, 20. Okay? So if we solve this equation, X equals negative 20 plus 100, X equals 80. There it is, right there. And if we do X equals 20 plus 100, X equals 120. There it is, right there. So the idea behind absolute value is there's a distance to the left and there's a distance to the right. It's the distance from 0. And the distance from, or not 0, from the center. The distance from the center of this equation is 20. 20 to the left, which is negative, and 20 to the right, which is positive. So if we just take that concept and apply it, we have what is going to be our basic setup for absolute value. So let's take this. 3x minus 2 plus 8 equals 1. So if we have 3x minus 2 plus 8 equals 1, we're going to get the center all by itself, which is this. So we're going to get 3x minus 2 equals 1 minus 8. And we have our absolute value bars. Now, we get 3x minus 2 equals negative 7. Now, here's a question I have for you. This says that this is the center. The center has a distance away of negative 7, or a range on both sides. Can I have a range on both sides of negative 7? No. Since you cannot have a distance cannot be negative, this is no solution. So when it's in this form, this side can't be negative. So this is no solution. All right? This is no solution. Let's go ahead and give you one that will probably work here. Let's go 2x minus 1 plus 10 equals 9. No. 12. Okay? So let's rearrange this. 2x minus 1, absolute value. Move the 10 over. 12 minus 10 is 2. This is the distance from the center. Here's my idea here. So here's my piece here, which is 2. So I got 2x minus 1 equals negative 2. My distance to the left. 2x minus 1 equals 2. My distance to the right. So then I just solve these. Just take this absolute value bars away here, guys. And so I get 2x minus 1, 2x equals negative 2 plus 1. 2x equals negative 1. X equals negative 1/2. And then move 1 over. 2x equals 2 plus 1. X equals 3 divided by 2. So I end up with my minimum, negative 1/2. My maximum is 3/2. So we're really always finding a minimum and a maximum. So, again, as long as this is positive when we get it set up in our center equals range, we get it set up that way, we can find our minimum and our maximum. It can apply to everything. And how we find our minimum is we put the one side a negative. So here we go. Let's try this one here. We got one more, guys. It's the hardest one of the bunch. X plus 10 equals 4x minus 8. So now if I look at this, and I go, okay, well, here's my center. Here's my range. So I have an x plus 10 equals the left side range, which is 4x, negative times 4x minus 8. And then I have my right side range, which is 4x minus 8. So we work our problems out here. We get x plus 10, distribute, negative 4x, distribute, which is positive 8. Clean all this stuff up. What do we have here? Let's move this one over here, gives me 5x. And I move this one over here, 8 minus 10 is negative 2. X equals negative 2/5. So I just added 4x to this side. I did minus 10 to that side. So there's one of mine. And then let's go ahead and do this one here. We're going to move the 4x over here, which is a negative 4x. So that's a negative 3x. And if I move the negative over here, I get negative 18, because I subtract 10 to this side. Divide both sides by 3, x equals 6. So I've got two possible answers here. So we can plug it in, and I get 6 plus 10 here equals 4 times 6 minus 8. So that's 16 equals 24 minus 8. And that gives me 16 equals 16. So that's a solution. So we're good there. And if I plug this in here, and I go negative 2/5 plus 10 equals 4 times negative 2/5 minus 8. It's a negative plus a negative, and remember, this negative on this side doesn't work. So that doesn't work. So this is no solution. So I got a no solution there. So absolute value. Set the problem up, get the absolute value by itself in the center format. Have your range on this side. Apply a negative to the range for one of the equations. Apply a regular, don't change anything. Apply a positive to the range for the right side. Solve each equation. Check your answers. Some of them may be no solutions because of the negative. Set equal to the center. Remember, once it's in center position like this, you can't have a negative on this side. And we got a negative when we plugged that in there. That's why it's no solution. And that is absolute value equations, guys. Section 1.4.